over 18 years of age are entitled to their right to vote, so why are our elected officials eliminating one of the best fail-safes to preserving our right to vote? House Bill 30, sponsored by Representative Ted Washburn of Bozeman, Montana, eliminates same-day voter registration by requiring everyone to register at least 5 days before an election at the county clerk's office or just request an absentee ballot. Same-day voter registration enhances the democratic process by promoting voter turnout. According to the Montana Secretary of State's website, 1 year after same-day voter registration came into effect, 411,000 Montanans voted. Only 3 elections later, with same-day voter registration, 491,000 Montanans voted. So that means voter turnout increased by almost 10% in only 6 years. The voter has a responsibility to register to vote before an election, but there's also a shared responsibility with the state. And the state should allow means for all eligible voters to vote unimpeded, because frustrating errors in the post system and with voter registration will occur. When these annoying setbacks occur, they should be exactly that, a setback, and rather than a failure in the democratic process that can be easily amended through re-registering at the election, at the polls on election day. Our voting process needs to be modernized and accessible, but House Bill 30 threatens to revert the democratic process for all Montanans. And so, lines at the polls are long and inconvenient. However, blaming and eliminating same-day voter registration is not an appropriate solution to trimming the queues across the state. So a simple increase of election officials to manage same-day registrars, or even an encouragement of people to vote absentee, will easily fix this problem. And it can still ensure that no eligible voter is purged from the polls due to a registration error that could be fixed on election day. I would rather wait in line for hours than be purged from the voting file immediately. And no one should lose their right to vote due to a voter registration card being lost in the mail, or an administrative error at the elections office, or sudden life change, such as moving for a job or being deployed for military service. More than 8,000 Montanans used same-day voter registration in the 2012 election alone, and the margin between gubernatorial candidates Steve Bullock and Rick Hill were a mere 7,571 votes. The amount of people utilizing same-day voter registration is significant and can very well sway an election, especially at the local level. House Bill 30 attempts to promote efficiency and shorter lines at the polls, but at the cost of limiting the democratic process for all Montanans. Only when all of us experience the frustration of not being correctly registered or present in the voters' file will the importance of same-day voter registration hit home. House Bill 30 is a bad bill. We need to keep elections fair and accessible for all Montanans so that all citizens who take responsibility to register can do so and no eligible Montanan is prevented from voting. Thanks.
Next at today's press release, we have Caitlin Fowler. We found out that Caitlin used same-day voter registration when we were conducting our survey on campus. She's a senior majoring in environmental science from Hamilton down in the Bitterroot, and today she's going to share her story about using same-day voter registration with us. Caitlin, would you want to come to the podium?
Thank you, Sean. My name is Caitlin Fowler, and I'm actually studying elementary education. Just a correction there. Before Election Day, I received my absentee ballot in the mail. I knew I wanted to research the candidates before I voted, so I was well informed, so I decided to hang on to my ballot until I knew for sure who I wanted to vote for. I spent some time researching candidates for the Missoula district and had a good idea of whom I wanted to vote for. During a phone conversation with my mom, she encouraged me to vote in person instead of submitting the absentee ballot. She said that she goes to the polling places to vote because she likes to see the atmosphere of democracy, that we can all have a say in who runs our country, states, and counties. I liked the sound of that and wanted to be a part of it, so I decided to vote at a polling place instead of sending in my absentee ballot. Mind you, I'm not the most politically active person in the world by any means. I was actually taking a government class here on campus that semester to learn more about the democratic process and platforms of the different parties. This class gave me an unbiased perspective so I could start making decisions for myself of the candidates I agree with. On Election Day, I looked at my ballot and realized I was registered in Hamilton, my hometown. I called the courthouse in Hamilton to see if I could switch to Missoula over the phone, but that wasn't possible. The woman I talked to suggested that I go to a polling place and register to vote in Missoula, but that it would take several hours. I was busy all day that day, so I figured I couldn't do it. I wasn't going to get to vote. Disappointed and discouraged, I went through my day thinking about what I could do. I don't have a car, so I couldn't go to Hamilton. I had too much to do that day, so I couldn't go register. In the middle of a meeting around 7:30 p.m., a girl who was a part of MontPIRG came into the meeting and encouraged everyone who hadn't voted yet to go right then to the fairgrounds. They even had drivers to take you there. I decided to leave my meeting early. I wanted to vote. I called her to get a ride over there, and I was there by 8 p.m. I got to the fairgrounds in the nick of time. I was in a long line that wrapped around outside of the building. After being in line for 3 hours, I was able to register in Missoula and vote. Standing in line for that long was a good opportunity to get to know other people in line, fellow Missoulians. I even met a woman who I found out goes to my church, and her kids are in the Sunday school class that I teach. This experience of registering to vote and voting on Election Day was incredible. If I didn't have same-day voter registration, I wouldn't have been able to vote. I was really determined. I was in line until 11 p.m., but it was worth it to have a voice. Thank you.
Thanks, Caitlin. Our next speaker is Lily Snyder. Lily is MontPIRG's interim executive director, and she comes to us from Billings, Montana. She led the MontPIRG interns in conducting the voter survey about voting habits on the University of Montana's campus, and with that, our director.
Thanks, Sean. So many of these people around you had actually conducted the survey, just so you guys know, and 82%, and what we found was 82% of the people who we surveyed were students, and of those people, 82% of the people had voted. The 21% of the voting population in the University of Montana used same-day voter registration, and that math works out to 650 people on campus alone who would not have been able to vote. 650 people on the University of campus alone who would not have been able to vote. 37% voted at the polls, whereas 2% voted at the county elections office, and 59% voted by mail. So that's an increase of trend of people who voted by mail, and there's also an upwards increase of trend of voting in Missoula County and on the University of campus in general. And so in registering to vote is a responsibility, and our government also has the responsibility to ensure that no eligible Montanan is prevented from voting due to errors or complex voting systems. That's why we need to kill House Bill 30, which would eliminate same-day voter registration. Voting is a fundamental American value. The results that I just listed highlight how same-day voter registration protect populations that move frequently and are therefore more likely to have problems with their voter registration. Montanans who have needed same-day voter registration in order to vote include military personnel returning from duty, students, veterans, people who recently moved, and voters who thought they were registered but found they were purged from the voters when they showed up to their voting place. Again, I reiterate, that's why we need to kill House Bill 30. It is voting is both a right and a privilege. Voting is both a right and a privilege, and that means that it's the responsibility of every single person to make sure that they're registered. But it's also a responsibility to get out there and to have the Montana government have the opportunity to vote. Thank you very much.